watch. Wondering if he's going to go for more safe strats or go for the really fast strats. And they're starting.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I actually have no idea how we'll take it.
Now, for those who are not aware, we are going off in-game timer, not IRL timer, if only to make sure load times are not an issue. Ooh, Dylan walking right past the activate the button prompt to activate the picture.
Funny enough, both of those runners made like the exact same mistake of walking right past the button before pushing it.
Now you're going to see here, Fuff is going to pick up 2 pieces of yarn real quick so we can make the sprint hat. And that is pretty much the only hat we're going to use for the majority of the run. One of the tricks that we use is, while the cutscene is playing, we will craft a hat so we're not just sitting there twiddling our thumbs as much.
Yeah, as Hat Kid is like putting the little hat together, there is a little cutscene playing where you aren't able to move your character, and so playing it on top of other cutscenes is what we do each time we make one.
One little trick we're going to do right here is we can hit the activation button for this room behind it. Saves like maybe half a second. One of the things you saw the runners do really early on was pick up 5 pawns so we could do She Came From Outer Space first. This lets us craft the brewing hat earlier and makes barrel battle a lot easier.
Making it before you get around to barrel battle is faster, as well as having it before the 4th level down with the Mafia is almost essential or almost necessary, because there's a quick kill on the first boss of the run that we'll be fighting that saves over a minute by skipping an entire phase. It's a little glitch that you can pull off with the brewing hat.
I can't imagine doing that fight without the quick kill now.
It used to be that way. Like in really early days of the game, we had to fight him and do all the phases of the fight, and it was really bad.
Oof. Now, we're going to be collecting pawns from this weird Mafia guy, and the pawns he drops are random, so between 3 and 5.
Yeah.
Fuff seems to be having some pretty good luck, getting at least mostly 4s and 5s.
Yeah, he has 33 pawns, which is a lot for this, I would say. You want to keep track of how many pawns you have at certain points during the run, because like the level that he's in right now, there are a lot of levels in the run that cost money to open. But the other levels being at a much larger scale, it costs such as 30, 50, or even 150. So you have to have a lot, and obviously backtracking to grab extra is not the best use of your time.
We actually had a runner last week not have enough pawns for one of the last levels and had to go abuse the Roomba for some pawns.
Yeah, he had to backtrack and in the hub world, go collect some extra. That's a thing that can happen if you don't have enough. These Mafia guys that he's about to fight have a property to them that whenever they take a certain amount of damage, they enter like this little invincibility state where they glow red, like he was just then and right about now. You can only break that state by jumping on his head or hitting him with the brewing hat, and obviously hitting him with the brewing hat is fast, so you can just stand right in his face and throw it, and having it saves a couple seconds also because it does a lot of damage. So that's why we go out of our way to make it before we get to here, because obviously, as you saw, there's not many yarn that are on the way to the objective. But in outer space, there's a lot of extra yarn that you can grab.
Now you're going to notice Fuff's just going to stand there, and that's because for some reason, you cannot get hit by any barrel by standing in this specific position. Just makes you can waste time. Basically,
the bottom row of the pyramid that he's standing on, he's standing like the corner of it, and so one of the barrels on it that's standing there peeks out or pokes out far enough that it'll hit the barrels that he's throwing down at you, so they'll just bounce over you instead of landing straight on the floor.
Now, one of the things you might have seen Fuff do is throw the brewing potion slightly earlier before the Mafia guy fell. It knocked him down early so he could start dealing a lot more damage instead of waiting for him to come all the way down.
You saw it coming from Dylan as well, what he was just talking about.
Both runners are still pretty close. It's a close race so far. Fuff seems to have slightly faster load times, which doesn't really mean much, but you're going to see him be ahead unless somebody screws up. Now that Fuff's entered the Mafia base, he's going to quickly jump up onto this lamp, then grab the thing of, I think it's lobsters, so we can hit this button no problem. I don't know about you, but that button gives me more trouble than it's worth sometimes.
An easy way to deal with it is to just throw the bucket right as you walk over the third pawn of the lines that you grab.
Oh, that's the time?
Yeah.
That was slightly after.
There's like a glitch with the button where sometimes the button will come back up after you like throw the bucket on it. Ooh. And like when you do it that way, it sets itself up so that you walk over the button right after you throw the bucket on it too, so it's easy to deal with. So right now, this thing Fuff's on, he's gonna have to try again. Oh, that's almost a sick backup. Okay, he actually got a sick backup on that. Yeah, he's climbing up on the roof right now because there's a cutscene trigger and a little mini-boss fight, I guess, right below him. Or whoops, I'm behind actually, he did it a moment ago.
Slightly behind.
Yeah, let me refresh this.
Basically, you jump up that high so you can avoid fighting the Mafia guys. It saves a good 7 seconds. It's not the fighting that takes a while, it's the waiting for the gate to come up and down.
Okay, yeah, whoops, sorry about that. I'm up to date again. I was a couple seconds behind.
So this is one of the few parts of RNG we have in the run, is how many times Mafia boss throws down some sandbags. Fuff actually seems to be having some pretty decent luck so far.
Yeah, so there are two things he can do, that yell that he just did there, and this attack right now. Those are the two actions that he does like an interchangeable amount of times, and you can't hit him during that time, so it's slow, obviously. So he can do either of the actions anywhere from 2 to 4 times, so like best RNG is 2 and 2, and worst is 4 and 4. And the difference from 2 to 2 and 4 to 4 is 14 seconds, so that's how much RNG is up to the game.
And Fuff successfully got the quick kill by, for some reason, having the Brewer's hat out. When you're all the way to the right and he does the Mafia ball, it knocks him off of it into the ground, killing him instantly, and it saves a good 2 minutes, I want to say?
Not quite, but over a minute for sure. You're seeing it from Dylan soon as well. But he's got one more attack to go. But basically what you do is you have him on the left side of the room. He has to start the Mafia ball attack from the right side. So he jumps over there, you're about to see it, he's on the left side. Then you go in the corner. He jumps over there and tries to swipe you away, but you get stuck on him. And then he tries to jump onto it and he just falls off instead. Okay, so on Fuff's end, he's gonna do an SUJ over here, which I'll explain in a second, to take fall damage right below that ticket and dupe it. Basically, two things about that. One, the sprint hat has a couple movement exploits to it, one of them being an SUJ, which is essentially, whenever you're sprinting, you only get one, like, big jump that's fast. And when you're walking normally, you get 2, like, normal slow jumps. Holding sprint down and then letting go of sprint and jumping, like, in the first few frames after will maintain the majority of the speed from the sprint, and you get 2 jumps from it, so you get to go really far. Second thing was, when you grab a ticket and one other collectible in the game that we don't really interact with, while in iframes, you grab 2 of them, essentially duping it. So that was the trick that he went for there. You take fall damage in front of it so that you can get 2 tickets in one.
Out of curiosity, what is that other item that it works with?
The other item that you can dupe by grabbing in iframes is a roulette token, which is a collectible that we don't grab any of in this run because all they accomplish is getting plays in the roulette machine, which just gives you cosmetics. You'll see the only other time you get roulette is whenever you complete a time rift level, and so you'll see that at the end of each time rift.
Now, despite the fact that they are both on the same level, Fuff is ahead because he opted to do Golden Vault first, while Dylan has not done Golden Vault yet. You're going to see a few differences in runs throughout this tournament.
Yeah, there's a bit of freedom with how you can route like certain levels in the run. Some of them, like doing them in certain orders, is slower or faster, but levels like Golden Vault and Sewers you can do in any order that you want.
Fuff went for the back to hub during the roulette. Kind of risky to my understanding.
Yeah, basically how that works is normally you could quit out during that roulette game so that you don't have to sit and play it through. But for whatever reason, when you exit to hub or to menu, whenever you're in a roulette, there's a glitch that happens where it completely blacks out your screen and gameplay, so you're like in a black hole basically and you can't see anything. And so you have to wait until the item pops up on your screen for the screen to not be black anymore, which means that by quitting out you only save like 0.4 seconds from doing it. So it's a tiny optimization, but it's nice to go for if you can do it every single time, because obviously that adds up over the run.
Speaking of the slot machine, Dylan had some bad luck getting a remix that causes the intruder alert screen to show up and costs about 3 seconds. Now the good news is we only have to see that once during the run. Any other time he gets a remix, it will not play.
Yeah, and the reason for that is the intruder alert cutscene is the thing that plays whenever like new characters are added in your ship that you can talk to. And the first time you get a remix, there's this little band of owls that you can go to, and basically they serve as like a jukebox for listening to all the remixes that you unlocked. And so the first time you unlock a remix, those owls spawn in, and you have to watch that cutscene. So right now, if you've noticed Fuff jumping in lava and taking fall damage, he's setting himself up so that he has 1 health when he gets to certain faucets, so that he can die after hitting them, essentially serving as a warp. Backtracking across this whole island is a lot slower than warping yourself back to the start, as you can see. So he does it 2 times for the best speed on the level. And that's the last one, and he's done.
Some people will opt for 1 death warp and use a cannon to get to the other ones. The double death warp is faster by about 4 seconds if you're optimized.
Yeah.
And Fuff's already almost out of heating up Mafia Town while Dylan's just starting it.
Yeah, Fuff is on a pretty alright pace right now.
Yeah, 11 minutes out of heating up Mafia Town. That's really good. By the looks of things, Dylan is going to go for the double death warp as well. There is one more level in Mafia Town we're going to do, but we're not going to do that until the very end of the run, which is cheating the race.
And that's because we don't have enough pawns to afford it. We come back at the very end once we have 50 extra, but we don't have money to buy right now, because you can see Fuff only has 20, and walking around and picking up 30 more would be a waste of time.
Man, but doing cheating the race early, getting the run killer out of the way first, that'd be nice. Only a run killer when you're learning the game, it gets pretty free once you actually understand how to do it.
Yeah, it's definitely something that takes a lot of practice to get down at first. We'll talk about how it actually works once we get to it.
Dylan bonking off the faucet. For some reason right under there, even though there's lava, you can still walk on some of it. I want to say that just has something to do with the way the ground was made there. Ooh, dino hat.
Wait, what did you say Fuff got from the roulette? You say he got a hat?
He got dino hat.
Okay, yeah, he must have declined it, so you can opt to decline items rather than taking them, and I guess he did there because he didn't want to wear it. Either way, the next time that he has to switch hats in the run, like if he needs to equip the brewing hat, whenever he switches back to sprint hat, it'll auto-update to the last one that he equipped. Right here, Fuff's opting to go up this tree, because there's a cutscene trick in front of him that with the precise jump he can make it over. You'll see it in a moment. So he gets to jump just fine. Now by being on this branch, he's right above this bag, and he just jumps over it cleanly like that. So that was a really fast bag skip. Really good movement going into it.
Bag skip is one of the hardest tricks in the run, but it saves a good, I want to say 30 to 40 seconds if you get it right.
A tiny bit over 30, I think.
So definitely worth it to learn. Because he skipped that trigger, he is not going to actually have the physical contracts, but luckily we can still do the level without him. Bean Snatcher's still going to give you instructions anyway. This is a brother like that.
Part of that, right now, he's jumping in the fire. He's taking damage again like he wasn't heating up. He wants to leave himself at 1 HP when he gets to the end. And that's because he's going to do another Death Ward, but like for a different purpose. He's going to respawn himself in the level after grabbing the timepiece, as to skip going back to the spaceship and selecting another level through the telescope. The loading zone for the next level that he needs to go to is in this level, even located inside this act. Excuse me. So, he doesn't have to go back to the telescope and redo it. That's the purpose of this trick.
Now, because he did bag skip, he is not going to want to go down that path whatsoever in contractual obligations, because if he does, he'll have to watch that cutscene.
Yeah, the bag is still there, because he never watched it in the first place.
Now, if he were to go down that path in any other level, say, Subcon Well, it will not activate.
See, right now he's still loaded into the first act because he did that death respawn. But the next level, Subcon Well, is located right next to where this is. He's clearing these paintings first. And like the last red paintings he cleared... Oh, he didn't opt to go for it. It looked like he was. Basically, that cutscene that he just watched, if you zoom in your camera close enough to HackKit, you can store that cutscene so that it won't play because of where your camera is. And then when you go up this well, you can turn around and look at it and have it play as you fall down the well. Essentially like playing two cutscenes on top of each other, making it not waste any time.
Now, if you screw that up, doesn't that cause a soft lock, or that you have to do it again?
It's not necessarily soft lock. Basically what happens is that that cutscene playing clears the blue wall. Like that's what you were saying was the wall going down. If you were to store that cutscene and exit the level without ever having it play, then the paintings would be gone because you already destroyed them, but the blue wall would still be up. Which means that you basically can't do any levels that are behind the blue wall, which we do need, because that's why we close it. So if you wanted to complete an any percent run with the blue wall still up, you'd pretty much have to go to an extra different world, like Alpine.
That would just waste far too much time.
Yeah. That's why some people opt to not go for it in races like Fuff did, because it is a decently small time save.
Dylan opted not to do bag skip, which is completely understandable in a situation like this. It is a very difficult trick to pull off. Despite there being a minute difference, Fuff is over a level ahead of Dylan at this point. But Dylan definitely has a lot of time he can save. Now, at the end of contractual obligations, when Snatcher gives us the two contracts, we have to pick on the one on the right, so we get to do the mail delivery. We do not want the Queen Vanessa contract. Big part of that is because we need the mail delivery contract to actually do the level, while Queen Vanessa we can just walk right up to him, like what Fluff's doing.
Similarly to Subcon Well, the loading zone for this level is located from any act. It's better to enter it from Subcon Well though, because like he mentioned earlier, in Subcon Well the bag cutscene that Dylan watched doesn't exist, because you're not supposed to be in Subcon Well and not have watched the bag yet, so they just removed it.
Now, Dylan's not going to have that issue because he didn't do bag skip. He can just go through contractual obligations. Fuff's supposed to be doing a bit of a small puzzle to get through there, but we can just jump over everything.
Dylan getting the contractual obligations death as well.
That looked close. I thought he missed it. Now, Queen Vanessa has one of my personal favorite skips because it's something the developers put in. Queen Vanessa is not only slow, she's also pretty scary. So we're just going to skip the entire level. Between these two barrels he's about to jump through, there is a hole. We can just crawl right through and it leads us to the top.
Yeah, so there is a really long, like, Luigi's Mansion-esque level that he just skipped by going through that hole. That hole is there as like a level skip, as like a joke from the beta speedrun, because like that was a big thing back in the beta days, because that was like, as far as I know, the only level that couldn't be skipped. And then so as a joke in the full game, they just added that in.
I feel like that'd be worse in the beta, because isn't there a third level that's not in the final release?
I don't remember. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure.
Fuff surprisingly going for mail delivery service before doing the 2 time rifts. This is slightly slower because he's gonna have to see another finale cutscene.
No. He's going to village.
Oh, my.
Yeah, it doesn't make any difference. Basically, what confused him there is that normally people do the time rifts next and save to do mail delivery last. He entered a mail delivery to enter this time rift over here, instead of entering it from contractual obligations, which is what a lot of people have seen do. But it doesn't actually make any difference whatsoever. It's the exact same. At least when you're going backwards, it is.
Yeah, that was my bad. I'm still learning. Dylan seems to be having a hard time getting out of well at this point. By doing some clever platforming, you can skip most of well to get out of here, but it is a little precise. And he's finally made it. Oh, no, never mind, I spoke too soon. Oof, that's gonna hurt. For those who just saw on Fuff's screen, what he was able to do was jump on top of the bell and dive for the timepiece instead of going platforming all around.
Yeah, there is a little puzzle that you can skip at the end there by, like, doing that trick. You can hit the bell to make the jump a little bit more lenient, but Fuff is a fast man, and he just wanted to go straight off of it and jump over the abyss into the timepiece. It's a little tight timing to make, but he got it just fine.
Now, one of the tricks Dylan is able to pull off because he has the contract is when the contract screen shows up. If you switch the keyboard, still move while the menu's up, and then do a real quick back to hub instead of waiting for the cutscene to play. It saves a little bit of time.
The reason that Fuff didn't do that there in Subcon where Dylan did it is because he did bag skip, which skips grabbing the contract for Subcon well. Whenever you complete a contract that you've grabbed, it forces a pause screen onto your screen showing that you completed it, and usually when you get those, you can abuse it to quit out to hub by having it open as you're grabbing a timepiece. You'll see Fuff do it at the end of mail because that is the one and only contract he grabbed, because it's the only one he needs to grab.
Not a whole lot to say about the pipe, where it's mostly just some real nice platforming. Ooh, Dylan wasting some time because he went into the wrong level. You do not want to enter Queen Vanessa through... Actually, is there a problem with entering Queen Vanessa through the, through mail besides dealing with 2 cutscenes?
What he could have done, I believe, like, if you enter a wrong level and you immediately exit back and re-enter it, it's like 8 seconds. But, like, he could have maybe made that faster. Basically, the reason he wanted to retry is because of mail delivery. Right in front of you, as you can see on Fuff's screen, is this little cutscene right here where Snatcher talks to you to initiate the level. You could just, like, dive around him and take, like, a different path as to make that cutscene not play.
I feel like even mashing through that would have been faster than going back to hub, but I could be wrong on that.
Yeah. I don't know, it's not a backup that a lot of people have spent time messing with, so... It may have just been an on-the-spot, like, what do I need to do here? Yeah, this is what you see. Yeah, this is what you see Fuff doing. He's put himself right on top of the timepiece, Now as he grabs it, it forces the pause screen up, which he can use to exit out.
Mail delivery service is an interesting level. It's basically a third-person shooter where we throw gifts at his little minions. We'll see more of it when Dylan gets to the level. Fuff's already out of subcom and headed to the final chapter you do, Battle of the Birds.
Which is by a decent margin the longest world in the run, so sit tight.
Yeah, just because we're in the final world doesn't mean the run's done yet. Deadbird Studio here is a minor stealth mission, but it's pretty lenient on the stealth. As long as you're not seen by anything, you're in good shape.
And there'll be a lot of points where in the level, Fuff is just gonna not care about some of them and dive right through them because he's fast enough that he can make it through them without them having enough time to catch him. These cycles of these penguins that he has to go through are affected by your camera's draw distance, because those guys only move whenever they're loaded into the game, which is when like you're close enough to them or looking at them or something like that.
Now, Fuff's actually about to skip the majority at the end of the level by double jumping onto the electrical box, then dive jumping over here, and that's almost the end of the level. He just avoids Terminator Bird like it's nothing.
Yeah, we call that bird, that very last penguin that he jumped over the Terminator, because he, like, if you try to go underneath where he went, which is a thing that you can do, he'll just catch you through the wall if he turns to the left. He has, like, a really big hitbox for his, like, scanning, and if you're in it for, like, a single instant, he'll almost always catch you right away. And the checkpoint for when he catches you is, like, 15 or 16 seconds back, so that's how much time to lose to get caught by him. It's a really scary penguin.
Did Dylan do Village while I wasn't looking?
I believe not.
Alright, so Dylan is going for the slightly slower doing mail delivery before the time rifts. Doesn't really matter by a whole lot, he probably just wastes like 3 or 4 seconds.
Basically, the loss of not doing mail delivery last is all of the main acts. Each time you complete a main act in a world with a finale in it, it like gives you progress towards that finale. And you'll see as he goes in the telescope again, it'll pop up the little finale book and shows that he got more progress. If you do mail delivery if you do mail delivery last, you don't have to watch that because you never go back to the telescope. Meanwhile, beating a rift is only like a short little like check mark that pops up on top of the rift.
Fuff is getting into Murder on the Owl Express. If you mash your keyboard and mouse when one of the crows try to talk to you, it'll skip the text box, which you're only going to use once because you only have to talk to one of them.
And the reason for that happening is that basically those owls, or crows rather, are like asking you for like names to. There's like a bunch of characters in the level that you can rename by telling them certain things. And by using a keyboard, whenever you're playing through that with the keyboard, it'll make you like type out the actual name on your keyboard, whereas if you use a controller, it pops up a little on-screen keyboard that you have to scroll through with your analog stick and type, which is obviously slower because you have to scroll to the other side of the keyboard and hit enter.
So one of the skips that Fuff just did was by doing some nice platforming, he was able to hit a button early and get into one of the last rooms. That skip is one of the reasons we play on 1.0, because that got patched out pretty quickly. Now, you see that door to the right that Fuff just... Oh no, he did it too!
That is not good. Okay.
Oh, that is the second time I've seen that this tournament.
Basically, he was trying to carry that key to the end of the level to open up the very last door that he needs. But you can use a door to get up on top of there faster. It's just small optimization. The risk of it being if you accidentally open the door, it wastes your key and you have to go in here and grab another one. And it wastes so much time.
That is the second time race I've commented on that's happened. I'm bad luck.
Commentator's curse.
Now, what Fluff's supposed to be doing throughout the entire level is picking up pieces of evidence to find out who is the murderer, but he ignores it all, and that's okay. The game gives you an achievement for this. The conductor is the one who did it after all.
Yeah, whenever you don't collect any evidence for the level at all, it defaults it to the conductor, so that's the culprit of every single speedrun.
Which is sad, because it's really funny depending on the options you pick. My personal favorite is Hat Kid herself.
Actually unequipped the aviator hat at the end of that level there. Basically what I was talking about earlier, he got another hat that he didn't want to wear in a roulette from a rift. And like I said, whenever you switch hats in a run, when you switch back, it puts the most recent one that you unlocked on. And because he had to go grab the detective hat to continue the level, as soon as he went back to the sprint hat, it replaced it with the aviator hat. And I guess he didn't like it enough to the point where he would take out the time to unequip it.
You still see that a lot during runs. Most hat speedrunners are petty and love their flair. Dylan, taking the final rift of Subcon Force, is now going to start heading to Deadbird Studio. Still a good 2 levels behind Fuff, but there's still plenty of time for him to catch up. Now the goal of can't actually think of the name. Picture Perfect, that's it. Is to become Max Diva, get all the fans you want, and also collect some yarn. And Fuff has already completed it.
So here's another spot where you have a bit of freedom with how you route your levels. You can either do Gallery Rift next, which it looks like he is doing, or Train Rush. You can do them in either order. And it doesn't save or lose any time.
Now this is one of the most important parts of the run, is making sure you have enough pawns. Because 3 of the last levels that we do require some pawns. You need in total 230 pawns by the end of it. And 150 of them is for 1 level alone.
Yeah, and that's because he's yet to open Train Rush, which costs 30. Big Parade, which costs 150. And Cheating the Race, which costs 50. So that's what he needs for the rest of the run.
Which, because of the route we take, he should have just enough to complete the run. Ooh, Fuff had gotten pretty...
no!
Oh no, did he ruin it?
He quit out too early! He quit out too early!
Oh no!
Oh my gosh, I can't believe it! He's messed up his game. I mentioned this earlier, he did roulette skip and quit out too early. If you try to pause and your screen is still black, don't go through with the quit out, because this will black out your screen, like I mentioned. There's no way to fix this without restarting his game.
Oh no. So, what is that it for him?
Okay, basically, the only way to fix it is by restarting his game. And save and quitting or force quitting the game is against the tournament rules.
So, Dylan wins by default?
I think so. He'll continue to go through with this run. I'll have to talk about it later, but I think for now this should be a loss for him.
Oh man.
The only way to go through it is by restarting your game.
That's heartbreaking.
Yeah, that really is. It's a tiny thing that could end up killing it.
Fuff paid for one of the final 3 levels and is now heading into Train Rush. Which, not a whole lot of talk about here, is just get through the train as fast as possible. Don't die. One of the goals we have during Battle of the Birds is, depending on how many points we have, dictates who wins the actual Battle of the Birds. And Conductor is slightly faster, so we attempt to have Conductor win. Things that affect the points are stuff like how much time you have left on the clock in this level, how much of a diva you are in Picture Perfect, that. I can actually take some time to better explain that skip I mentioned earlier, because Dylan's right about to do it. At least one of the ways to pull it off is to jump on this bookcase here, dive, jump to the other side, walk up the wall, and hit the button, and that skips a good majority of the level.
Yeah, that trick is, or that movement is what you have to do to get up there. Generally, what you're supposed to do is, like, open keys to go through rooms and make it up to the top floor, but you can just climb up high enough to do it without, like, go exploring all the way until you get to the top floor.
Now you'll see them screw around in the Metal Gear Solid 2 room there, and that's because of doing that skip, the game gets confused and resets us after a couple seconds. If you're fast enough, you can make it to the door, but I've never seen anybody do it. It was done in the world record video, and there are a couple other people that have videos of doing it, but it is near frame perfect movement. It's one of the hardest things to do in the run. It takes a couple seconds. You're talking about the most recent world record video or the older one?
Yes, the most recent one.
Okay.
Does the instant door warp in it?
I need to watch that run still.
Would recommend. It's the first and only 44 run of a Hat in Time Any Percent. Worth the watch for sure.
Fuff here has entered Big Parade, which is honestly my least favorite level to run because it is essentially a 4-minute auto-scroller. And there's not a whole lot we can do to speed it up. Now you're going to see him collecting pawns. He has to get out of this level or else he's not going to have enough to do cheating the race. And anything other than 50 will be slow. Fuff crafted the ice hat a little bit earlier, and this makes his life a lot easier because if he uses it, he's immune to all damage and can just kind of hang out and stand around. At this point of Big Parade, Fuff has to go around, hit these switches, which is one of the few things we can speed up, just by getting them as fast as possible. What makes this annoying is that now, every once in a while, the ground will basically be lava, and he'll take extra damage. And you do not want to die at all in Big Parade, except for one very specific instance. Because if you're dying here, it'll reset you back to the beginning of the phase, and that's a good 40-second time loss, at least. One thing Fuff might be setting up for at some point is another Death Warp. By using the Ice Hat and setting up in a specific position, he will get knocked in the timepiece, killing him, but also completing the level. The only reason you do that is because a Time Rift spawns here, and it'll save him some time from going back to the menu.
Yeah, it's pretty similar to the one that he does in Contractual Obligations. Basically, what it accomplishes is putting yourself back, respawning in the level immediately, but with the timepiece that he was looking for, which skips having to go back to the spaceship and watch an extra cutscene.
It is kind of hard to pull off, So you're not going to see it a whole lot during the tournament, except by the highest level runners. Because again, if you screw that up and die without getting the timepiece, that is a good 40-second time loss. Fuff's actually starting to enter the final phase of Big Parade, where now DJ Grooves is shooting rockets at this poor child. Somebody please stop trying to hurt this small child.
Yeah, and these rockets can actually mess up this trick that you're going for too. Basically, how you're doing this is you're abusing the invulnerability from the ice hat to freeze owls inside of you, and then right when you need to jump into the timepiece, you unfreeze yourself and then have them take damage, or have them do damage to you rather, so you get knocked straight forward. If in the short amount of time that you want to be vulnerable to the owl's damage, you get shot by a rocket, obviously it can mess up your setup or straight up kill you if you get hit from the front of it.
The reason this works the way it does is that the owls give you a crazy amount of knockback when they send you into it. Did Dylan pull it off? Or sorry, did Fuff pull it off? Yes, he did. And now he can just go right for the time rift that spawned.
So right now, because the owls from Big Parade follow you in this level as well, because it's sort of themed like Big Parade, he takes damage at the beginning again there, and whenever he's finishing this level, he's going to get knocked into it again. This time, not because he has something else to do here, but because, like I said, there's a roulette that plays at the end of every time rift, and doing that, dying and then respawning, if you immediately exit to hub, it is faster than watching the whole roulette game. So that's why he goes for that here.
Oh, I've never seen anybody pull that jump off like that, heading right for the wall. That was an interesting one. And he successfully takes the damage and gets the timepiece. So now he'll respawn and just go back to hub instead of dealing with the roulette.
But if you had a pet, what do you think the name of your pet?
Oh, he still hasn't done Owl Express time rift. I didn't notice that.
Yeah, what you just saw from Dylan, that's what the controller version of that text box looks like. It is a decent bit slower.
And Fuff officially has enough pawns to get into cheating the race, so he should be fine for the rest of the run. I'm not actually sure how many pawns Dylan has at this point.
Not enough quite yet, but he still has Big Parade to do.
That was the SDJ Fuff just did there, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, he did that to skip past that, like hitting the buttons like you saw Dylan do, which with good movement allows you to make it to the buttons by hitting the third button first, which is the fastest cycle that you can get. By doing that, you can make it over here to the spinning gear on this cycle right before it goes up, which is the fastest cycle that you can get. So as long as you make that, you're usually fine. On your time for this level, you should get around 59 seconds to a minute on the IO time. Yeah, 59.
Now, instead of hitting the two buttons here, you can run to the top of this light post, dive jump into the gear at a certain position, and make it to the top. Oh, and Dylan fell. That's going to kill some time.
Yeah, and he fell all the way back down to the bottom of there, too. That's a decent time loss.
Now, Fuff's going to go to the hardest part of the run, the finale of Battle of the Birds. It's almost impossible to gold here. It's so difficult.
Yeah, very clearly the hardest level in the game. So first you gotta talk to that guy, and that's the hard part, and then you're done. Basically, that is the level that, like, sets up for the finale of the world. And, right after that, you're gonna get a phone call, and he's gonna be talking about like, "Yo, come back to Deadbird Studio. There's some crazy stuff going on. You gotta check it out or whatever." But he doesn't want to do that because that's a long level. So he just takes the first half of the boss, the 10-second timepiece, which is pretty good for a speedrun, and then just leaves. Because that's all he really needs. So now he's going back to cheating the race, which he now has enough pawns for, unlike earlier.
Now,
I'm
sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, another part of doing cheating the race at the very end is also that when you're entering Finale and Mailroom, which are the two other levels that he's yet to do in the run, by being in the checkpoint for Mafia Town, you don't have to travel as far to go to them, so that's another convenient factor of doing that before the end, because the checkpoint that you spawn in when you go back to Spaceship is based off of the most recent act that you completed. So because he's going to go to the end of the game with the last act he completed with Mafia Town, then he's going to be closer because the Mafia Town door is closer.
Now, cheating the race itself, we didn't get much of a chance to talk about it before Fuff finished it, is either one of the easiest levels, or it can be one of the hardest if you don't know what you're doing. That can kill quite a few runs just from some bad movement.
Yeah, basically, if your movement isn't as amazingly clean as Fuff's is, and you're like learning out the game, then it can be a lot harder to win that race, and when you do, it'll be a lot closer, because that race, how badly you beat him by, is just by how good your movement is. So optimizing it makes it a lot easier, but as you're learning, it can be really hard to beat him.
There's actually quite a few different ways to do it. Most people opt to go backwards, though recently in the Discord, some people have started going forward instead. And Fuff's actually about to enter Finale already. He's going to take control of Mustache Girl, get her to a certain checkpoint, and just enter Finale after that.
Yeah, so Fuff at this point in the run is on pace to finish at around 46 minutes in-game time, I believe. Yeah, should be around there.
I want to say cheating the race is slightly faster forward if you know what you're doing, but I don't know by how much.
It is.
But isn't it also more difficult?
The people that do it will tell you that it is not more difficult. Because while there is more like movement that you're doing, you have more room to mess up and still win the race. Because it is faster. Like, you have room to make mistakes and still win doing that route. That's why a lot of people like it.
Now the question is, do you go forward or backwards?
I go backwards because I'm a noob. Just kidding.
It's okay,
It's only like not that much slower. Like, it's not a big deal. There's a bunch of people that are at the top that don't do it backwards. So
Top
right now,
6,
Fuff entering
calls yourself a
Finale.
nude.
Yeah, at this point in the run, he has to do Finale skip, which is an out of bounds he's doing here, because he still doesn't have Dweller Mask, which is one of the main hats in the game. You can skip past all the times that you need to use it by doing this out of bounds right here. So he's going through this wall. There's just a straight up hole there that you can go right through. It's not even that difficult, and then you can just easily make it up there. Like, it's really convenient how this stuff is placed, that you can just climb up there and that there's a little hole there. That you don't have to like make a super hard setup for clipping out. You can just go straight through.
Now, there's a few different things he can do that he's made at the top. He can either run to the top and just dive boost, or do these full slides. Full slides is faster, but it's also more dangerous, because if he falls, he has to redo the entire level, or worse, get soft locked. There are invisible walls during this slide that he can boop off of.
Yeah, the difficult part about doing the slide... Oh, he bonked on it. Okay.
Oh no.
Yeah. So that loses like a minute, because it starts him all the way back at the beginning where he has to set up the clip again. Basically, the difficult part about going for the whole slides that he did is that there's a lot of like weird textures up there, like invisible walls and some like holes or gaps in the floor that you have to go around and over. And so that's some precise movement that he has to make sure to get, but he did it slightly too early and bonked. I think it was slightly too early. But yeah, it's pretty precise.
Most people who get started will just opt to do dive boosts off the top. That is still not completely safe though, because there is a hole in the ceiling that you can't see. And if you there, that is the soft lock. You'll have to return to hub for, which kills even more time.
Yeah. So he is going for the slides again, wants to give it a second try. Gets it that time. There's one more invisible wall coming up in a second. Right here. It's that one as well, and now he has to just jump over the hole. Which is right there. And he's fine. So you saw him like go to the right a little bit. He did that to get height off of the ramp. So he can make it up. Showing off a little bit here. Spinning his camera in circles.
And Fuff is right at the boss room. Now if he were to die to Mustache Girl here, he would end up having to save and quit back to menu, because the respawn point would be in front of a behind a dweller wall that we can't get past.
Because he doesn't have the dweller mask to open it.
Now, if he were to have triggered that ending, that actually would have given him the checkpoint for it, but for obvious reasons, we try not to do that.
Yeah, basically, if you enter that room and you try to run away, this is bad ending where like Hat Kid like gives up, but then like the game like sends you back in, and what that does is it gives you a checkpoint. Oh, Dylan just died on.
Oh no!
Yeah, he didn't go far enough from the damage from Parade Death.
I'm going to really quickly apologize for the bitrate. There is nothing we can do about this final level.
Yeah, this final level destroys a lot of people's bit rates. It's super flashy.
At this point, Mustache Girl is going to teleport away from you if you try to get too close to her. By using the Brewer Hat and throwing it correctly, you can hit her though, and get some damage off the Conductor Ball. And, wow, already into the shield phase. This is one of the final point, the final point of RNG. Because you will knock her out of the shield, and depending on the amount of attack she pulls, let me start over. There could be a different number of attacks between her pulling up the shield. Be it 1, maybe 3. It just depends on what she's feeling like that day.
Yeah, and basically whenever she puts herself in a shield like that, you have to wait for that goat to throw a cherry to you so they can break it. She can do attacks that aren't shielded, and then you'll be able to hit her immediately, which is obviously faster. The amount of times that she shields herself is up to RNG, and there's not an exact amount that you can lose or save just because of the random nature of her attack patterns, but it is a lot more than any other point in the run. This is the biggest RNG point.
And Fuff is in the final phase. At this point, what's going to happen is all the enemies are going to realize, hey, we give out heart pawns when we kill each other. Let's kill each other and give this Hat Kid infinite health. And so they do. And at this point, you cannot lose. It's just a matter of hitting her as much as you can, as fast as you can at this point.
Yeah, you have infinite health when you're in this final portion of the fight, because of these guys helping you, I guess. There is RNG here that I'll have to look out for, but you can, like, react to what's happening. Basically, she takes 8 damage in the final phase, and she has 4 attacks. And you can keep track of what attacks she has left in her cycle. It's like, if she's done 3 attacks, you'll know what her 4th one is. And if you follow them in a certain pattern, then you can hit them faster, obviously. They're, like, double hits that you can get in combos and stuff like that. And so being able to keep track of what attacks she has left can help. Yeah, he should be out of it soon. And that is a low 47 for him, yeah.
That is not a bad time at all.
Especially considering a minute of the lost time that he had was just that one mistake he made bonking on the slides.
Well, between bonking, well, yeah, that would be it. Oh, what is he doing? Oh, he's ground pounding the Mustache Girl. All right, respectable.
Messed around a little bit there. 47-21.
That is not a bad time whatsoever.
So that will be the better time for this match, but for now, because of what happened earlier, he will not be receiving the win. There's more discussion that should be happening on the ruling of this match. But as for right now, that will not be a win for him. Basically, what happened was he made a mistake that initiated a glitch that completely blacks out his screen and gameplay, which unless if you have every input memorized for the entire rest of the run, he wouldn't have been able to complete unless if he had restarted his game. And restarting your game or force quitting out of it or exiting a menu or anything like that are all things that are banned in the tournament rules.
Wasn't Save and Quit also just banned during regular speedruns of this game anyway?
Yeah, it's banned in both, and that's because they're abusable. Like, you can quit out of the game while certain cutscenes are playing to go back to them, and they're gone.
Oh.
And yeah, it's a thing that was banned a while ago, and so for the purposes of this race, because it's banned on speedrun.com, it's banned here, and that's because we don't want it to be inconsistent with everyone running the game one way, and then some people just start abusing the save and quits.
With that, let's see if we can get Fuff into the call to do an interview.
Should we wait until Dylan is finished?
I've seen them do it earlier. I could be incorrect though.
I will ask.
Oh no, Dylan bonked off the cannon and cheating the race. He now has to waste some time.
Yeah, he made a mistake bad enough that he was not going to be able to win, so now he just has to wait for that guy to finish and then retry.
Get ready.
Let's see if Dylan can get it this time. Dylan is going backwards, which is generally the first of the... Or, not the first. The more popular method. But it is a bit difficult.
Okay, so barely makes it through that time.
Now Dylan is on to the final room, which is mailroom. To those who have been playing on the the newest patch, the mailroom time rift has been moved to the lab, which is yet another reason why we use 1.0.
Because unlocking the lab requires having the dweller hat, which is something that we don't want to deal with because it entails grabbing 12 extra yarn. That's why we skip all the uses of it in our any percent run.
The other hat we don't pick up is the time stop hat, which, while it would make cheating the race so much easier, requires 20-some yarn, and that's no bueno.
Okay, so now Dylan should be on pace to finish at 56 or 57, something like that.
Which is not a bad time whatsoever.
Here we go.
One of the most annoying things that can happen to you is not get a remix until mailroom, then get a remix right here. Because you'll have to deal with the intruder alert from Mustache Girl. That'll disappear. Then when it's time for you to load in, you'll still get the regular intruder alert. Which has happened to me once, and that was not fun. One of the things we can do to make this a little bit faster is by standing on the corner here. It'll let us double jump up and wall jump up there, which just saves us from waiting an extra cycle to get up here. And ordinarily, what we're supposed to do to get to this teletop to begin with is have all the major hats to get in, but that clock lets us jump over the fence. I believe an invisible wall was added after the 1.0 patch. I could be mistaken. And now Dylan's actually entering the finale. He could go for the slides or take the much safer dive boosts. We'll see. Alright, I've been informed that instead of it being an invisible wall, the fence is just higher. Dylan actually got a little bit lucky there and clipped into the lava, which was able to let him boost up without taking the second hit, meaning he has 3 health going into the Mustache Girl fight, which is much safer. Dylan's also going for slides.
In his last race that I watched him do, he did do the full slide, so he'll be doing the same difficult setup that Fuff did earlier, so hopefully he can get this.
Yes, there are.
How much time does it save to do full slides over safe slides or dive boosting?
Depends on what other method you use getting over.
I remember having this
I'll just say it in a second. 1 minute. Okay, he got the hole there, so he's safe now as long as he makes it back up. But,
I just haven't
basically, it depends on what you go for. There are a safer method of slides where you can use the consistent way of getting up, which is what he'll be doing here, I believe. The first line on the— oh no, he bonked the end of it! That's over a minute.
Bad.
Yeah, that's a minute and a half. Yeah, that little line right there will consistently get you up from the slide. And that's what you can do is a more consistent method of going through the invisible walls. You can just get up before each individual invisible wall and then go back down once you're past the dangerous parts. Yeah, basically what happened there is that he went into the line with too sharp of an angle.
Dylan twice in a row clipping under the lava though, so that's some good luck. Or is that a specific setup? I'm not sure which. Dylan going for the much safer dive boosting strategy. Or just gonna, I guess. The only one of the major differences by doing dive boosting is that after the green chains, there is a hole in the ground that you have to jump over. If you do fall in, you will need to restart back to hub, which wastes quite a bit of time.
And you do jump over that same hole when you're doing full slides. It's just a little bit of a different setup. There, he just jumps over it with a big sprint jump like he did. But doing it when you're sliding, you have to get yourself speed and then get a little bit of distance going to the right so that you can just barely clear the gap without bonking, because like I said, having too sharp of an angle while sliding will bonk you down. So that's probably the most difficult part of this full slide.
And now he's made it to the checkerboard wall. He's just about to enter the boss fight. There are 2 different ways to enter this boss fight. The safer way is to double jump and walk over everything, but you can dive jump to get into the cutscene as well. If you screw either of these up and end up under the floor, that is another soft lock. And now Dylan's entering the final boss. This is a phase in the fight where you can get multiple hits off. Generally, you're going to get at least you can get at least 2. Sometimes you can get lucky and get 3 or 4.
Yeah, it depends on what attack she does next. So obviously after you hit her, she immediately starts picking a next attack to do. And some of them she doesn't teleport away immediately, and so you can keep smacking her as she's flying away from you and get a lot of hits in. But if she teleports away, then obviously you won't have a chance to keep hitting her.
One of the racers earlier in the tournament got her against the wall and was able to get 5 hits in. Now, much like with the Mafia guy way earlier back in Barrel Battle, if you throw the Brewer hat at the right time when she's in the air, you can get hit in much earlier than you're supposed to. And now he's entered the shield phase. Once again, the biggest piece of RNG. Oh, you can get unlucky and have her teleport into the floor, and that kills a lot of time. Slash, I think, is a soft lock.
So you did get another double hit there. You have a chance to get one extra hit in if the next attack that she does isn't a shielded attack. Because whenever she does a shield, she always starts out the attack by teleporting away like that and shielding up in the air. If there were a way to hit her before she put herself in the shield, that would be really nice, but unfortunately there is not, so you're prone to getting bad RNG here.
It'd be nice if we could learn how to manipulate that RNG, but I don't think there is a way for us to.
I doubt it, yeah.
And now Dylan is in the final phase.
Red hooded girl, get lost!
And now he's in the final phase. This is another big part of RNG of which attack she's going to use next. But if you're keeping track of what attack she has used, you can get some extra hits in. Is it
Basically,
8 hits for this phase?
Yeah, you need 8 hits. Basically the way it works is she has 4 attacks. The air attack with the timepieces, the shockwave attack where she's jumping around doing that right now, and the punch attack and the laser attack. All 3 of the attacks entail her teleporting away, except for the shockwave attack, which she just jumps away from the current position that you hit her in. So if you throw a brewing potion at her and then immediately homing attack, then the homing attack will stay there and you'll continue to follow her as she does a shockwave, giving you a double hit. So that's the main part of that final phase, tracking when she's going to do the shockwave attack and try to get that combo in, so you don't have to run around and chase her.
And
58-19
Dylan finishes,
for Dylan.
which is not bad at all. Congratulations to both runners.
Yes, the results of this match are still... They will be discussed because of the DQable thing that Fuff had to go through with. But as of right now, I do believe that Dylan should be advancing through with this match.
Alright, well now that both runners have finished, let's get them in for a interview.
Yeah, we can get him in here.
One of the final choices of the game you can do is decide whether to give Mustache Girl a timepiece or not. It changes absolutely nothing, but it's cute to have nonetheless.
Okay, so we have Dylan and Fuff in here now. What's up, guys?
Yo. Is my mic is my mic alright?
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine.
Alright.
Good run, both of you guys.
Oh, there we go. Sorry, my mic was broken.
Oh, yeah.
So, apart from the black screen topic, how was that run for you?
Mine was pretty good. It was probably PB pace until that happened. Barely, at least.
Between that and the and
Yeah, I
you
guess.
putting the key in the
and
wrong
the
hole.
murder thing. Yeah.
Oh yeah, when you opened the door by accident, you had to grab an extra key.
Both
Yeah.
ones I've commentated on, that's happened.
isn't the fastest that you can get like the backup key for that like 20 to 25 seconds?
I actually have no idea. That was just completely improvised. I've never had that happen either.
Oh well, you did get like the fastest possible route to the key. That is like the correct backup way to go to it. But yeah, it's like minimum 20 seconds, I think. It's a big loss to go through with.
Yeah.
Dylan, how did you feel?
I felt like that run was like absolutely terrible on my half. Speaking because of chapter 2, when I just messed up subcon well and just did everything in the wrong order.
Oh yeah, I remember seeing that. You're having trouble with the hook shots.
Yeah.
Also, you're a little quiet, at least on my end.
Oh, I could just get close to my mic. My bad.
Good.
Nah, that well was a little rough, but
Yeah. Could be cleaned up a little bit.
other than that, you guys look like you had a really good run out there. Fuff, what was your final time?
It was a mid 47.
Yeah, like 47-20 something. with-
Yeah.
I don't know how much time from the black screen, but
I'm still though great runs. I'm just sorry you had to go that way.
Yeah. I'm sure we'll be talking about it a little bit in a minute. But unless if there's any other comments you have to make, that should be it for us. Anything you want to say?
no.
Okay, so that is until something else changes. Our next match will not be until tomorrow at 2 p.m. EST. So right in the middle of the day, we have Username versus Cheesy Finger Smelly Man, which should be a good run. It'll be Username's first race of the tournament, as well as Cheesy's. He got a bye into the second round on both of them, so neither of them have actually played yet.
Ooh, that'll be interesting to watch then.
Yeah, that is it for this run for today. Thank you guys for watching, but that is all we got. I don't know what's coming up next exactly, but stick around. There's some pretty cool stuff on this channel. See you guys later.
Bye.